Hello guys, today I'm looking at Perfect Dark. This is a weird game for me. I mean, initially I never actually played this on the N64. I actually played it initially when it came out on Game Pass on Xbox, and they had some rare replay thing. And yeah, no, it's really interesting to see this game from a technical standpoint because these are the same guys who made GoldenEye, and this was their last game before they kind of were acquired. And so what's really impressive about this game compared to other games is, especially for this time era, we had a bit of this in GoldenEye where depending on where you shot a character, their character model would react differently if they shot on the leg or the arm, the head, etc. And that was more so kind of emphasized in this game, where people would actually clutch their arms, drop their gun. It would be a very, very well-made kind of game. And I was always conflicted, like, oh, I'll never play Perfect Dark. And now that I've actually finally played it, I don't feel like I really missed out on anything. Because while I think Perfect Dark for its time was a technical marvel with its like lighting and whatnot, its story is really nothing exceptional. Basically, you play as this agent, and they found aliens and whatever, and you team up with this little alien dude, and you basically just fight the CIA and the government and all these secret organizations that want to control Earth and use the alien technology and powers for their ill will. And again, the story again is not super important, but I always felt that it was not extremely fascinating or interesting or like a one of a kind game. I mean, from a technical standpoint, it is, but at this point, it's kind of been surpassed by a lot of other games. There's a very cool vehicle section where you get on this like little hovercraft style thing, and you basically are able to have this little vehicle section where you're able to mount and dismount and go around the map. And yeah, like this game, playing it today, it's okay. Again, it's not the most amazing experience ever, but again, it's really impressive that this ran essentially on an N64. There's a good array of weapons of both human, alien. You can select a huge array of different things, and stuff like that. Also different things like laser beams and lots of really cool creative things. I also love the aesthetic of the game is kind of that, Y2K kind of high technology, almost Deus Ex-like in its sense of style and digital, supremacy or whatever. Lots of green and neon green bars and graphs and stuff like that. And so your main rival essentially is this lady from this other company who, again, wants to use the technology for her own evil ends, and your job is to basically stop them and take her out and save your little alien friend dude who adopts a USA shirt and becomes like your comedic support kind of character. Honestly, this game just felt like a better version of GoldenEye to me. It wasn't really super revolutionary. Others outside of that, again, the lighting was really impressive for like an N64 game. And eventually, what happens is you end up going to you fight a bunch of CIA goons. You go to their base. You get on a plane. It gets shot down. You end up going through the mountains. You end up finding your alien friend. He gets up and getting a tank. You end up basically going back to your home base and basically attacking it, and you end up on an alien homeworld where finally you face the final confrontation with the final antagonist. And it's interesting how Joanna Dark actually looks in this game compared to Perfect Dark Zero, because in that game she's a ginger, and I just realized that they look very, very odd. And again, for some reason, I felt like the whole uncanny vibe of like the human faces scanned onto polygon models looked exceptionally odd in this game, especially with the villain and stuff. But outside of that, yeah. And I guess maybe I'll just talk a little bit about Perfect Dark Zero right now, simply because I'm not going to review it because I never beat that game. It has an interesting vibe and an interesting like introduction, and it was the game that people really wanted. And it's like, oh, even though Rare is owned by Microsoft, they're still going to make great shooters. And again, Perfect Dark Zero, it's just not fun. It has a totally different kind of FPS engine, but it's nothing like Halo or even GoldenEye. It's just this weird game where like I kind of wanted to like it because the characters and the dialogue and everything, but it's just not well put together. And I think it's something I might want to replay just to find out exactly why, or kind of get to the bottom of it. But the guns all feel very generic. I don't know. This was the era where everyone was making an FPS gun game and cashing in on the cash cow it was, like Call of Duty. And no one was able to really, make a super outstanding one. There were a few things like Call of Duty and Halo that really stand out. But a lot of games in general that did this FPS thing, where it's like, if that's the only thing they have going for them, it's really not substantial enough to justify an entire game. It's kind of like, okay, what else do you do besides, shoot guns real good? And the answer was usually nothing. And so because of that, you had a lot of very generic shooters, frankly. And the only people who could really innovate on the basic gameplay premises were the AAA studios who like Call of Duty and Battlefield and games like that, where eventually over time they just got the formula just right and tried to stick with it and had many iterations. But again, this was considered one of the bigger games on the N64 since it was released near the end of its lifespan and needed that expansion storage memory pack just to play this game. I believe I think you also needed to play Majora's Mask. I'm not sure if that was something else like the expansion storage or like some other kind of thing. There were a lot of late game projects for the N64, including things like the Mega 64, which is Mega 64 is named after, which is the disk drive that was going to be attachable to the N64 like a Sega Genesis kind of booster attachment thing like Sonic and Knuckles. Just the crazy cartridge technology back in the day really brings me back. But when you look at the lighting in this game, you can tell like, oh yeah, they really need an expansion pack to play this game. But in terms of how this game has lived on, it's very easily been surpassed. And so the reason why it was famous in the first place really isn't relevant anymore. Again, it's still a fine like shooter. It almost feels like a boomer shooter, almost a piece of nostalgia. But there's nothing about it today that really screams something iconic or super interesting. I would even say GoldenEye is almost more interesting than this game, simply because it has maybe a smoother gameplay flow and it's just a shorter game overall. And yeah, this just feels like an extended version of GoldenEye. But yeah, that's pretty much all I can say about this game. I wish the game was better, the game series was better. I think Joanna Dark as a character is actually pretty interesting. The whole setup with aliens and government stuff and X-Files stuff is always something I always enjoy. And unfortunately, I just can't really get behind this game. I hope it makes a comeback someday, but they've already tried that before and it didn't turn out super well. So that's kind of it for now. Anyway, guys, I will see you later. See ya.